So, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with the Mayor. This morning is our second edition of Coffee with the Mayor, and I'm very pleased and proud to welcome Dr. David Janzen, President of Tabor College, to Coffee with the Mayor, and look forward to just having a chat and sharing some information and letting people in Hillsborough know what's going on at Tabor and you know, a little bit more about you as well. So
thank you very much, Lou and Matt. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. I know you're the 14th president of Tabor College. I also know that you and Karen, your wife, are alumni of Tabor College.
Right.
And you actually have your children, you have an alumni of Tabor amongst your children, Alexander.
Yep.
And so give us a little bit of background about you and your family and what brought you back to Hillsborough.
Sure. Yeah. So we do have four children, and our oldest, Alex, he graduated from Tabor, and we have another who has just started as a student now in interterm, and
nice.
Amber is here as a student.
That's great.
So that's been kind of exciting for her to choose to do that. We've been away from Tabor for a long time. I graduated in 1990. I think it was, and I've been off doing a variety of other things in industry and teaching. In the last 15 years, I was in California in San Luis Obispo, teaching at Cal Poly, teaching software engineering, computer science, directed their software engineering program there. We lived in Morro Bay, and so coming to Hillsborough, Kansas is a big change. We sensed that it was time for a change. Just life was so busy. I was doing research, I was a professor, and that was going really well. And I had started a company 10 years ago, and it was doing really well. And I was doing a lot of Christian ministry with students and through our local church, and it was just so much, and it was overwhelming, and we knew something needed to give, and we never thought it would be the Cal Poly job, right? But an opportunity to do an early retirement came up, and we just sensed that God was in that, and we accepted that, thinking that I was probably just going to work in my company more and maybe do more ministry. We were also exploring teaching a little bit at Westmont College down in Santa Barbara, and so we did some of that last year as well, just exploring. And that really started to turn our hearts back towards Christian higher education, just seeing the need for great faculty and great leadership and the opportunity and just the importance of Christian higher education. That's where we wanted our kids to go. And they're just training up students to go out into the world to make a difference for Christ in the world and to be ready in their professions, to be academically prepared and professionally prepared, but to have a heart for Christ that they would take out into the world. And that just really stirred our hearts for that. And a week after I announced my early retirement from Cal Poly, President Jules Glanzer announced his retirement from Tabor. And I got a call immediately from a friend saying, I think maybe you're going to be the next president at Tabor. And I just said, no way. I just couldn't imagine that would be in the cards or what God would have for us. But long story short, we're here.
Yeah,
well, that's the calling of the Lord.
Well, sure. I believe that too. And you know, you always wonder what's next and what's going to be next. And it's amazing to me how we've seen, in particular, in our own education system, both at Tabor and in USD 410, people coming back home, if you will, to Hillsborough, and that's exciting. Yeah. I know that you're not the first Janzen that was to be president of Tabor College. That's kind of been in the family.
That's right. That's kind of a cool connection. I don't think we've had other close connections like that in two presidents at Tabor, but Vernon and Genevieve came in my first year, 1986, when I was a first-year student at Tabor. It was his last year. And so we just overlapped by one year. And I've known Vernon. Vernon is the first cousin of my father's, and I've known Vernon since that time. And we've stayed in touch over the years. And when I called him and said, I decided to apply for this, we had the most delightful conversation. He was so excited.
I'll bet he was.
His first question was, are you sure you've got the guts for that? It's a hard job, and he knows that. You know, it's a unique job being president of a small college.
There's no doubt about that. So we're glad that God called you here, and you and Karen, and we're so much looking forward to seeing how things will continue to progress and how God will use you not only at Tabor College, but in the community. And you guys are a great addition to the Hillsborough community. You know, and to that point, I know people have heard me say many times, but I'll say it again. Hillsborough is Tabor, and Tabor is Hillsborough. Tabor is such an integral part of our community. You're one of the largest employers in our community. Your student base continues to grow, which has just been amazing to see that growth. And I know from my growing up years in Hillsborough and going to Hillsborough High School, and a lot of the interaction with Tabor and using the shared facilities there, especially the basketball gym, but the campus has just completely transformed itself over the years. I have to believe that was, well, I know you saw it when Alex was attending, but it was quite a change from when you were there, right?
Yes, it was. The campus really looks fantastic. And if people haven't been on campus, I invite them to come and walk around campus. It really looks great. Our groundskeepers are doing a fantastic job. Facilities doing a fantastic job. And then just the construction that's happened, especially with most recently the Welcome Center, but the Sherry Fleming Center for the Arts is just
amazing.
An amazing thing. Just this last week, we hosted the Central Kansas League of Schools. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but the music festival. We had 500 high school students performing on our campus, and it was just the perfect facility for them to be able to do that. It's great to be able to.
Without that facility, we just wouldn't be able to do that. And
we're not done. There's more coming. In fact, this is news. If you want some breaking news,
let's have it.
So we are planning to build a new residence hall. And just this week, in the last week, we had a huge week. We received a gift that gave us enough courage to think we could raise another $1.1 million in 1 week in order to be able to apply for a Maybe Foundation Challenge grant. And in the last week, we achieved that. So we have now raised $2.7 million towards this new residence hall. Construction is expensive, and so it's a big project. It's going to be 86 beds, and you know, and we can look at. There are some college towns and communities that are saying we can't afford to build residence halls. We're going to send them out in the community. Find your own apartments. Well, being a good neighbor in Hillsborough, we can't do that. We have a housing crisis already. We don't have the available houses and apartments to be able to do that. We need to. That's a part of our being responsible neighbors, I think, in Hillsborough, is building a residence hall to accommodate the growth that we have.
Well, we appreciate that. And but you know, this community in Tabor has a long history of cooperation and collaboration, and I think one of the shining examples of that is the Joel Ween Stadium and track facility. And in terms of a public and private collaboration, there's not many around like that. And I just am very proud of this community for leaders, past leaders, having the foresight to work together on that.
The way that we share that facility, I think, is really fantastic.
And we just want to continue to look for ways to do that. We want that to continue because, again, it's just vital not just from an economic standpoint, but you've already mentioned from a cultural standpoint, from the arts, from all those things. And it's not just about athletics, but there is a whole stream of other things culturally that brings to our community that we just wouldn't have without Tabor. And I just can't imagine Hillsborough without it. And so it's critical that we continue to work together, because let's face it, in today's world, being a decidedly Christian community in college is a challenge, because there's a lot of things going on in the world that are pushing back against that and make it hard for us to be that kind of college, be that kind of community. So
we do believe, though, that God is in that. We are an authentic, Bible-based, evangelical, Anabaptist, decidedly Christian college, and we're seeing that there's interest in that, especially maybe even in light of the direction that culture is going these days, that we stand out. We're more different than most other colleges. And as families start to understand that difference, they value that. And so we really appreciate that. And our alumni and our donors as well, they recognize we have stayed true to our mission.
Yeah.
And that's hard. Not many colleges have. And people value that. And so I appreciate that we do that. You mentioned just the activities that Tabor provides for the community. And I guess I would invite the community, keep coming, come to our athletic events, come to the lecture series that you see that we advertise, come to the performing arts things. It's entertainment, it's interesting, it supports our students, it supports our faculty and our coaches and directors in those areas. So we love it when our community comes out and participates. I love how our community does get to know our faculty and staff and coaches and even our students. And that's just been really great.
Well, we had talked about this earlier, but that's certainly a vision that I have for our community, to be more of a college town, and all that entails, and all the good ways that entails. And that is seeking engagement. I hate to think sometimes that students feel like the campus is an island that they come to. And, when they want to go out and seek entertainment or other things that they are looking outside the community, I want them to think about Hillsborough. But we also, as a community, need to be as inviting as we can to make them, think about us in that way. And we need to just do a better job of that.
Yeah, and a lot of people do. They reach out to our students, and the churches have been doing a good job, but I think we can all do a better job in those areas. We can just keep finding new creative ways to invite, to include, to make them feel welcome, make college students feel like this is their town,
right?
And they're not just visitors here. And that this is their college, this is their town, and they become a part of it. And we've seen that over the years. In migration, Tabor has been so good for Hillsborough in that, look around, how many people,
from California
live and work here in Hillsborough.
It's amazing.
That came because of Tabor, and they said, I like it here. I want to stay here.
Yeah.
And that's going to continue. We know most of our students we're going to send them out into the world. And I think that's fantastic. But some of them are going to come and they're going to stay.
Right.
And I think that's just fantastic.
We have a strategic plan that I think we've shared with you at Tabor. And, but our three top priorities today are childcare, housing, and workforce, and that's just in alphabetical order. And we've been talking, and we're continuing to dialogue with you and your team about ways that Tabor can be involved in helping this community address those issues. But they're critical for all of our success, and not just for the community, and not just for Tabor, but for us becoming a more integrated community. And so we're looking forward to that. There's educational opportunities that we're kicking around, from an entrepreneurship standpoint, that you and your business department are engaging with us on. And I'm excited to see where God's going to take that, because that's important for both of us. And again, collaboration, cooperation, those are just the hallmarks of the relationship we want.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about entrepreneurship?
Let's talk about it.
Okay. I'm super excited about entrepreneurship and the difference that we can make on campus, in our students' lives, and in the community and throughout the world. We already have some things that have started, but it's small, and it's mostly restricted to the business department. We see a vision of expanding that significantly across campus with many, many majors and throughout the community. And so we're going to lean in a big way, I think, in entrepreneurship in the coming years. We're just getting started. We're making some plans, but we already have a minor in entrepreneurship and a major in entrepreneurship. We're exploring a possible graduate program in entrepreneurship, but we also would like to do some programming that's not directly tied just to getting a degree. And that would be available to our community members as well. And our students can participate in those things as well as our community members. And so we just submitted a grant to the USDA on entrepreneurship it's a 1-year grant for next year. We hope that we get that. And one of the things that would allow us to do is a lot of programming, a lot of events that we can include community members in. Those can be things from kind of the whole entrepreneurship pipeline, from ideation. What are some, come up with 1,000 ideas, narrow it down to 10 ideas that are really good ones, and then 1 or 2 that might be worth spending a year or 2 of your life on and see if it goes. And then maybe pitch competitions, for instance, and workshops where we have people from marketing and intellectual property and corporate formation and different aspects of entrepreneurship. We can see a lot of those things going on. Some of them just one-time workshops or sessions, some of them kind of an ongoing, like a 6-week series or something.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Things that we can invite people in the community who either have a small side business, or are thinking of doing something, or they have an established business and they want to grow it, or they just want to learn to think more entrepreneurially, or just start something that they haven't even, started, that they have a fire to do, something, whatever that next big thing is. So I'm excited about engaging the community in that. And I look forward to, in 5 years to be able to look down Main Street and around town and say, hey, look at these 5, 10 businesses that all started through what we did, maybe even collaboratively between the city and the college. And then look nationwide and see even broader, all of these companies. I've been asking a lot of questions and meeting a lot of Tabor alumni. We have so many entrepreneurs out there, alums and some of those stories haven't been told yet. I'm eager to tell some of those. We've got some really successful people that have built important, some of them nonprofits, some of them very successful financially, some of them really key technology or ag or medical research, different kinds of things that have been done by Tabor alums. I'm just so proud of the work that they've done. I want to leverage that and leverage our network of advisors and mentors to really create a great experience for people that kind of pass through Tabor.
Boy, absolutely.
Love it.
When I'm not the mayor, I'm engaged in sales and marketing activities, and communication is such a huge part of that. And I am right there with you in terms of, I don't think we have done as good a job as we could about telling our story, about communicating the success that we've experienced. And I think some of that comes from our Anabaptist roots. There's some humility there, and so we're just naturally reticent, and we don't like to get out there and toot our own horn. But sometimes I think that horn needs to be tooted, because I'm sure you'll agree, success breeds success.
Right.
And when people see that there has been success, the best indicator of future behavior, right? Past behavior. So
it gives confidence to know, oh, that was a Tabor student just like me, or that was a community member just like me, and they did this. I wonder what I could do. It helps you to wonder. I've been saying lately on campus, testimony invokes wonder. When we tell our story, in particular of what God has done in our life, we start to wonder, what might God do in my life? And I think that's true even from an entrepreneurial perspective as well. And we see entrepreneurship not as just being greedy and making money. It is missional from our Christian perspective. I just gave the X audio lectures, and they're online. If people want to hear a little more of my vision and my thoughts of how entrepreneurship is missional, I tried to explain some of that in those lectures. It's on YouTube.
Well, I think
we'll connect that up. We can take a look at that.
Yeah, that's great. Something else that you said, David, that we talked about what Tabor's doing, and you're aware that the city is doing things, and we're wanting to engage and connect. But I guess I want to encourage people that I would encourage you to get involved, because it's not just going to come from Tabor. It's not just going to come from the city. It takes people, and it takes people willing to step out boldly when that may be the toughest thing in the world to do, is to step forward, raise your hand and say, hey, I need some help, or I'd like to engage, or I'd like to be involved in this. But we really need the community and not just the Tabor community, but the entire Hillsborough community. That if this is something that that you feel like you're being called to, step up, let us know, tell us about it. Let us see if we can help.
Absolutely. I think we can come together around this idea, and whether you're starting a business yourself and wanting some help and wanting some, support and some ideas and encouragement, or you're participating in helping someone else who is doing that. Maybe, you have advice to give, or you can judge a pitch competition, or you can give $1,000, as prizes for such a competition.
Right. Sure.
Or as these businesses start, to go and visit them, to see what's going on, and go and buy things, and be forgiving if, okay, they're just getting started,
Right.
and give them feedback of, you might do this a little better, you might do that a little better. Right? And even the current businesses in town, I just want to see Tabor support local businesses, and us as individuals support local businesses, eat at our local restaurants and shop at our local stores, and that will help make them thrive and provide a culture of staying here. And let's, if there's something that we don't have here, can we create it? What's missing? How can we create it?
That's right.
And there are enough people. I know Hillsborough is a small town, but we've got a lot of people who live in the country around us. And if Hillsborough is where they come to for that shopping and for the retail, for services, it helps us all.
Well, for sure. We've had a couple recent examples of that with Baumgars coming to Hillsborough, and that's really filled a gap for us. And the building center as well on the lumber side. We were seeing we had a huge gap there that is now being filled, and it just keeps people here. It gives them a reason to stay in Hillsborough, shop in Hillsborough, and just enjoying Hillsborough.
And speaking of lumber, and housing is one of your lists.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see us have some housing starts in Hillsborough. We know that there's very little homes for sale right now, and we wrestle with that as Tabor when we're recruiting faculty or staff or coaches, and they're coming in and there's not houses available. It's hard for us. And so are there people in town who, even if they're not going to build their own house, perhaps they can, as an investor, build a house or two or three and just put it up for sale. I think there's demand if we get it in the right price ranges. And I think there's a range of prices that are acceptable there. We'd love to see some movement and excitement there. And as we have a residence hall being built, we're going to have a bunch of contractors. I'll bet if they had other houses they were working on and they can work around that, we're already going to be in Hillsborough. Let's just extend that time. I'm excited to perhaps see some growth there.
So when is the residence hall? When are you going to build it? I mean, when can we expect?
Great question. So we hope to we're planning a groundbreaking for May 6th. So that's coming out real soon.
Fast.
Yeah.
We have already been working with architects. We have 60% drawings. We've been working since that was one of the first things I was told to do by our board is get going on those residence halls, even though we haven't raised the money for it. Well, do both. Raise the money for it, and move forward as fast as possible.
Sure.
And so we are on track. So construction will start probably as soon as graduation is done this spring. So late May, early June, we expect to see some equipment on campus and dig in a basement. And we plan to be done by the following summer. So summer of 2023. So next year will be a year of construction.
So I know the city has been working with you guys on that too. And so we've already started pulling the electrical stuff and kind of addressing some of the infrastructure issues. It's been it's been a good partnership, and I don't know how that has worked in the past, but being on the entry level ground floor, it wasn't news to me that you're building a dorm, but we're excited to see it because it's something that is desperately needed. And, that's, a way we can help with that. And I think we have been working pretty well with that. So, and we're having, I think, another meeting this week yet on it. So it's one of those things that I'm excited to see it. I didn't know we were going to be moving quite that fast. You never know, right?
Yeah, it's fast. And especially with this last week that we've had
that's
good
awesome.
Success from our donors saying, yes, we believe in this. We're going to support this and move forward. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be able to say that with confidence. It's going to happen. And the plan is, we've planned for a total of 4 of these in that area, not all at once. We're going to do it one at a time. We're going to see how God blesses us with students to fill those. Eventually, the hope is if we can build all 4 of those, we'll be able to close the men's quad that's across the street and not have students crossing D Street there so frequently as we have.
Right.
So I think it'll be safer for our students and a better experience for town as well.
Yeah. Well, it'll again consolidate that campus life experience, together, like it probably should.
Yep.
But again, the quad has served well and served for a long number of years. But yeah, so that will free that space up for maybe something else.
That's right. That's right. We don't have a clear decision on what will go there. We don't know exactly what the timing is going to be. Like I say, we'll do one at a time.
Sure.
And ideally, we would just build all 4 right now, but that's a big price tag.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Without going into significant detail, because we just don't have that to share yet. Matt and I are pretty in the city council and are pretty laser focused on those 3 top priorities, but in particular, housing is something that we're pretty laser focused on.
Good.
And OTI, Al Votes and Rich Oster are absolutely working with us on that. We've already started addressing a variety of different things.
Good.
And we went from thinking about one scenario to opening it up into a much broader scenario. And I'm aware that there are others in town that are considering some new development. So I think that's something that hopefully in the next year, in the year 2022, that we'll have something a little more definitive to talk about before this year's out in terms of getting some of those things rolling. But we absolutely need them. Yeah, for sure. And, we need housing to address at all levels. I mean, it's not just one type of housing. And I know we've had residents express concerns about this idea of container homes. And that's, while it's still floating around there, I'm not sure just how solid that in particular is, but we do need rental space. We need entry level homes, but we also need some transitional homes for those of us my age that are looking to eliminate steps and things of that nature. Looking for more of a patio home type scenario, and I think that hopefully we'll see some of that come to fruition here in the not too distant future.
That'd be great. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Because I've told my wife no more stairs. The next place is going to be flat.
Yeah.
With a nice wide doorway that I can get in and out of. And if they need to haul me in and out, they need to be able to do that. I say that in jest. We lived in a duplex on Lincoln Street, and we had a medical emergency, which I won't go into detail, but it was a bit of a challenge getting the patient out of the house. So those are important things as we get older. But I guess lastly, I think we need to just again reaffirm our support for Tabor and the Tabor community relative to the recent tragedy that was experienced with the 3 students that were involved in that terrible traffic accident. And our hearts and prayers and just, have been with you and for you and the families and the students and the faculty and everybody that's impacted. But quite honestly, it impacts our entire community because those people were Hillsborough. They were part of our community. They were living here in Hillsborough, and to lose young lives, is always a tragedy. And it's just hard to get your hands around sometimes. Is there, from a support standpoint, what can the community do? What can we as a community do to continue to lift you up, support Tabor, and support the students during this time?
I appreciate you taking that approach and asking that question. It's been a hard week. There's no doubt about it. Sunday and Monday, there was just a people were very solemn on campus. My wife and I we often eat in the dining hall just to build relationships with students, and that's been really good. But we've made it a point to be in there every lunch and dinner all this week. And on Monday, we just saw it was just quiet, and there were, you know, people just kind of staring off into the distance and just really contemplative. It was solemn, and you could just feel it. This is heavy. This is real. We knew these guys. Last night, there was more laughter. There was more of a joy, but there's still a bit of a heaviness on campus. And so pray for us, and we're just appreciative of the community outpouring their support, just asking those kinds of things. How can we help? We know that the families are, you know, having to collect the belongings of these young men. That's hard, and Tabor is helping them in some financial ways with flights and things. And we've had some people say, hey, can we give some money to them? You know, for IRS reasons, we can't directly take money as a contribution to Tabor and give it directly to them, but we do have some expenses, and so some people are, and we welcome that, giving some money to Tabor to help us as we are helping them. And we're happy to be a conduit. If somebody wants to give some money directly to them, we can, if they call the offices, we can get some names so that they could write a check direct to them if that's somehow helpful. But I think more importantly, it's just in respecting that people are hurting and giving them some space and place to heal them, and especially in the churches locally where a lot of our Tabor students do go, and they're getting counseling. And I just love it how a number of our churches have come to like our prayer vigil on Sunday night, and we had a pastor or two there, and they've offered and been bringing counselors to campus, and we've had extra counselors on campus all week, and the churches have leaned in and helped us in ways there, and that's been fantastic. I really appreciate the first responders. I want to acknowledge them. That had to be hard, and I've heard that it was a horrific accident, and to come out and just to see that, and to be involved and to help the highway patrol. I just appreciate the people that from Hillsborough and the county that were involved in that and went. I can imagine that was not an easy day for them, and they may also still be processing what they saw and what they experienced there, and it's hard.
We're having a critical incident debrief tomorrow for all of our first responders that were involved, and you know, I especially take that pretty seriously, and I know Matt does too. But I mean, that's something that's always on my heart. I had a personal experience many years ago where, you know, my nephew Adam Suderman, and the day after Adam was born, we were on a trip to California, and we witnessed a horrific accident where a woman and 3 children were lost their lives, and it just never goes away. It just never does. And so, you know, I have, you know, just that experience alone, you know, and it's not just any one thing for these guys. It's, you know, it gets to be cumulative, and so we're very cognizant of it, and we're very aware, and we're trying to make sure we're keeping our eyes open for people that may not want to talk about it or may not want to say anything, but maybe dealing with it, you know, and I know you're doing the same for your students and faculty at Tabor. So
yeah, and I think that we've done a good job, and I appreciate our community and our campus community that they're talking about it. We're not just hiding it. We're marking the moment. We had a chapel on Monday. We're going to announce soon a memorial service that's going to come up, and so we're taking the time to think about it and talk about it, and encouraging people to. And it's hard, and there's been a lot of tears, you know, at the prayer vigil on Sunday night especially, and the students, they just recognize these are people that they were in class with, and classmates or teammates and mod mates and roommates, and so, but to not just suppress that, but to actually process it, to talk about it and go through it as community. And that's what I think Tabor is so good at. I think Tabor is one of the best communities in the world. I really feel that's true. And I think part of it is because Hillsborough is small and Tabor is pretty small. And so we know each other, and we find our fun here for the most part. We find our relationships here. we do things together. And so we support each other. And if you're going to go through a tragedy like this, what a better place to do it than
Sure.
Tabor College. You know, nobody wants this.
No.
But
No.
if you're, and you know, and as a Christian, God didn't promise us that life was going to be easy or comfortable or,
No.
you know, everything was going to go, that he actually, you know, the Bible says that there's going to be challenges, there's going to be hardships, and the world may even hate you, but that we have the fellowship of believers around us. And that's a great thing in a Christian, authentically Christian college community, that we can just come alongside each other. And faculty and coaches and peers are just Christians that are loving on each other. And it's really, even though it's a hard week, it's a beautiful week, and good, I think, is coming from it. And Jonathan, who survived and is recovering in the hospital, he's just been overwhelmed with the love and support that he's receiving, cards and people visiting, and just the many people praying for him. That's been really fantastic.
Good.
But do pray for him. He's got a long road ahead of him.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Well, you know, in terms of ending our time together, because I know you have things that you need to go back and be doing, as do we all. But I just thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today, to let people in the community know a little bit more about you, about Tabor, what's going on, and how the city and Tabor are working together, you know, in the future. And you know, you said before there's going to be good that comes from tragedy, and I know that's true.
Yeah.
But I'm just can't wait to see what God's going to do with Tabor, with the city of Hillsborough, and our collaboration in how he's going to continue to walk with us to make this the best community we can possibly make it. So thanks again for being here, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much. It's
All
been
right.
great to